Hey, welcome to Seeing Everyone. Very excited. People are coming in and we are getting our speaker on the line. So it's just another Monday in Zoom land and technology. He is here. He is on his way. Very excited. But as of right now, we're just going to talk to each other for a moment. Hi, Anne. Nice to see you. Good to see you, Cheryl. Barbara, you've been on for a while. Love to see Christine Silva. They've got their big event coming up this week, which is very exciting. The women's, who's trying to get in? Kim Grossman, Bonnie Lay. Women's Council of Realtors event, which I'm going to I'm registered for. I would encourage everybody, if you have a little bit of time on the 5th and 6th, to consider popping into Women's Council of Realtors. Big event is happening this week. Who knows some information about that? Cheryl, do you? Not really? Christine, anybody have some good information about women's? You're muted, Cheryl.
Bonnie might have some information.
I'm sorry, I just logged in. How is everyone doing?
Good.
Hey, Bonnie, can you talk about the big event for WCR?
Let me double check because I know on a national level, we definitely have a few things going on. I just need to pull it up very quickly.
Yeah, good. We're waiting for our speaker to join us.
Okay, yeah. So on the local level, Boston, Greater Boston and Central, we're gonna roll out a membership drive event where we're gonna, do a weekly Let's Chat, a morning meeting just so we can have more people joining us. We're ready to talk about, everything that matters to us at this point because it's a very difficult market. I'm sure all the realtors are feeling it. There's very low inventories and I think the bidding is even harder than last year so far. And then let me pull up the, sorry, give me
5th and 6th, right? The actual 2-day event.
Yes. So let me pull up the flyer so I can read it out to everyone. You guys keep talking first.
No, we're still waiting for Chris.
Hey, Chris, I was just on the phone with Chris and he's trying to log on. He's having Zoom/internet difficulties, but he is at his home office and he knows he's coming on. He's been trying to get on and he will be popping on momentarily.
Excellent. And we are all, imagine so many people holding their breath for tax information. It's fabulous.
Lisa, maybe Mary could talk about the event as well. I see Mary D'Ambra is on.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Mary D'Ambra, you are there. Can you, are you on?
About what?
Hi, we want to talk about the big WCR event this week. I was just encouraging folks to.
Oh my God.
So tell us about it, Mary D'Ambra.
I'm the wrong person to tell you all about that. So I can tell you that I am signed up for it.
Me too.
Gonna be a lot. I know. I kind of was like squeezing in. Like I just hopped off of MAR's diversity, which went a few minutes late, and I'm like, cutting off of that and getting on this. And I think I got a few conflicts with the WCR too. But I'm really excited to learn, what we can for this upcoming year, because a lot of times this, you don't have the opportunity, because I guess that's the good thing, right, about virtual. But they've got quite a lineup and a lot of info, and they're going to talk about the PMN designation and what's going to be happening during the year. I don't think they have a crystal ball, so they probably don't know everything that's going to happen later this year. I mean, as far as like, NAR and WCR conferences and stuff, but I think it's going to be great. Like, who else is signed up? Lisa, you are, right?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the schedule pulled up in front of me.
Ooh,
so the certified virtual social
prepared.
leader, that one is going to be from February 3rd. I think it's a 2-day event, right? Usually it's a 2-day event. And then March 9th, we're going to have effective negotiations for real estate professionals. And then March 30th, they're going to have leadership excellence. And Yeah, there's a lot of good things lining up for this coming year.
Boy, I'm telling you, I'm getting texts like crazy from people who are trying to get on the meeting. So,
Yes, I just got a
Yeah.
text from Kate. I'm sending her the forwarded link that I have.
what I'm doing is going into participants and saying invite right from Zoom.
Okay.
So we will be continuing to work on improving.
And Chris is
online
working
delivery.
on getting logged in, but do we read Chris's bio? Can I read his bio right now?
Sure, please do, Nora.
Okay, this is on the rrccrs.com website. And Chris has been in the finance business for more than 30 years. He started his career with a degree as an accounting minor in business administration. He also holds the CFP designation, or I should say Certified Financial Planner designation. And he was also, interestingly enough, a senior IRS agent for 16 years. He conducts more than 125 seminars a year on accounting, financial planning, wealth building, residential rental property ownership, and tax strategies for both real estate and financial services nationwide. And again, we will this week be having the link for the class, the all-day class that will be 8 credits for CRS or RC. And I believe that Rhode Island, we're doing our best to get it approved for some CEUs, but we can't make any guarantees on that yet. And that is going to be on Thursday, the 25th of February. And it will be open to anybody, not just the New England region, but nationally for taking the class. So we're really looking forward to that.
That's great. Thank you so much, Nora. So we do have in the chat, if you want to send that also to, there's actually the meeting ID and passcode, which might be helpful to Chris. So everybody, if you're just tuning in, we are anxiously awaiting our special guest today, Chris Bird, tax expert aficionado from RRC by way of the Internal Revenue Service and other things. How many, I know I have taken actually, Chris, one of the things that Chris has been most famous for is his CRS 204, which is the buying and selling investment property. Typically when it's been held in the last few years, it's sold out, or whatever venue we had it at. I got to take it, and it was actually one of my first classes I ever had at CRS. And it was, again, one of those things where I sat in the room and I was like, here's all my people, because it was kind of hard. And we were all, a lot of them were probably a third of the people in the room were already active investors as realtors. And I was like, wow, that's kind of great. And he just never stops delivering value, but in a way that makes you laugh and almost makes you cry. So really looking forward to that. Anybody have any good Chris Bird story while we're waiting? I know Kurt's taken it a number of times. Cheryl, I think you've taken at least twice with Chris. Anybody want to share anything about that? Kurt, go ahead.
Sure, absolutely. Well, and that class is incredible. Every realtor in CRS that's gone through that class has always said, wow, I never thought about investing that way. And a lot of them went right out within that first year and actively got into real estate investing. So anyone that hasn't taken that class, I would highly recommend taking Chris Bird's class on that. It is definitely the one that we've always gotten the most rave reviews over the year. And I'd love to take it again. So.
Yeah, I mean, actually, wait, go ahead, Cheryl, please.
I was sitting right next to Lisa. I remember Lisa tried to get her husband's boat as a write-off, and that wasn't flying.
He talks about the boat all the time.
They take people out on the boat to look at properties.
Listen,
I did end up taking his advice, and I purchased a car over 6,000 pounds, right? And I'm able to write off as an LLC for myself, like 75, 80% of it. So that's huge for me when I have a good year. And there's no like time limit. You can't do it like once every 3 years. You can do it every year if you wanted to. And then as an S corporation, I understand from my accountant, and you'll want to check with your own, of course, that you can write up to 100% of it if you use it for business. So so much information he has, and we're going to kind of kid him a little bit. He goes, "What's the cod like?" So we all know it is Cape Cod, right, Lisa?
Yeah, he always calls it the cod.
How can I get to the cod? So that's one of my stories. And we gave him, remember Kurt, we gave him a great Brady shirt. He was a Brady fan when he was in, I think, Richard Waystack's office there hosted it. Conway,
yeah, that was a great
South
event.
Shore. So we had a lot of, he's a great time. So I wish we had an hour with him today.
Yeah, no kidding. Well,
Thank
although we will have a full day with him on the 25th of February, which is, one of the exciting exciting things, and we wanted to sort of make sure we mentioned that today. But he was going to, and hopefully we'll be here any minute, come on and give us also some things to think about as we all are getting ready to do that thing we love to do, which is prepare our taxes for 2020. And this year, I mean, good heavens, I think there's potentially a number of changes, a number of things to be really aware of. Typically, people who are in that space also start to know the things that are raising red flags, which has been very, very instructive hearing from Chris as well. I mean, home office was always one that was definitely raising a lot of red flags. So that was going to be pretty good information as well. I know that CRS 204 actually had us research. Go ahead.
Oh.
Sorry, someone's got the thing on. Actually had us research properties while we were there. And we almost put one under agreement. There was someone who was looking from Western Mass, looking for a condo back at the time here on the Cape. And it was just my first experience ever with like really analyzing the cash flow, and they have an enormous wealth of spreadsheets that allow you to analyze every different deal, and just gave me, it's not my focus, as I think it's probably not the focus for a lot of us who are in residential real estate, but it gave us enough framework to know the buzzwords and to be able to have those constructive conversations and have an idea of where we were going, with things and what things ended up on a cash flow in turn, even just the elements, things like that. So anybody else have a class with Chris that they want to mention something about? Nora still, I can hear that Chris is going, it's making me register. Just give him the meeting ID and the passcode. That's why we try to do this at 11:45.
Easier said than done.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, let me just.
I
Hold
know,
on,
it was
right.
easier said than done today.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I didn't know.
And Nora, in the chat, it actually has just the meeting ID and the passcode. So that could probably be.
I think that's going to help. I've got Chris on the phone now, and he's having problems registering because it's saying other on what's going on. So
Why don't you just have him join a meeting and then put in the meeting ID and the passcode?
I'm trying to have him do that. So in the chat, Chris.
Okay, now I can't see anything. Okay, so I'm just trying to I'm responding to your other link, another link.
This is fun. Really exciting. So you're on speaker, and I'm looking for, can somebody just read me the
Sure.
number?
The meeting ID is 832.
I see it.
I can't even get that far in.
Can you just go into zoom.com? If you just go to zoom.com or .us, I think it is. Is it zoom.us?
I will do that. Hold on.
Zoom.us.
Yeah. I've
We'll
got my
get
own
you
Zoom
there.
account.
It's kind of like
Okay.
e-signing right now, isn't it, ladies?
And I've got the meeting ID is in. Why don't you guys go ahead and I will talk to Chris and we'll get him on. So I'm not distracting everybody.
Okay. Well, it's kind of fun, Nora. We were like getting it.
Okay, fun. So
No,
it's
no, I'm
832.
kidding. I'm kidding. Go on mute. I'm kidding. Ann Meswar, have you ever taken CRS 204?
I actually took it twice.
Did you? So tell us
Yeah.
what some of the nuggets that you got from 204.
I'll have to tell you that there's definitely something completely out of my wheelhouse.
Hmm.
But so the first time through, things did not stick. Just one thing after another just blew by me. But it got my interest up. And the second time through, a lot more stuck with me. I haven't invested myself, but I've been able to guide a few people getting involved into investment properties. It got a lot clearer that second time around, and the tools put it right out in front of you. I mean, it's just black and white. It's right there. Makes you look like a genius, even if you're definitely not, if this is not your wheelhouse. So I have to say I highly recommend it as well.
Yep. And I think, and Chris, one of the other things that's really was fabulous for RRC and the profession in general is when the tax laws changed a couple of years ago. He and Dale Carlton got together immediately and put their two brilliant heads together and created a one-day class that really explained the implications and all of the ins and outs about how to deal with that Tax Reform Act. And there were a lot of things that were very beneficial for realtors, quite frankly. I mean, not very beneficial to lots of Americans, but there was a lot of things that were pretty beneficial to our profession. And then even in this last year with PPP and the EIDL loans, they right away came forward with, you know, some webinars. And I can remember being on a 1-hour webinar. And while I was on the webinar, I was literally filling out, someone said bluebind.com. And I'm like, what's that? But I typed it in. And I think I had just about finished my application by the end of the hour webinar. And I never would have done that. And he said, as they're saying now, you've paid into this system. You're not taking advantage, you're leveraging information. And if you qualify for the PPP loan or the EIDL loan, you have paid into the system your whole life by paying taxes. So please put that into perspective for yourself. And also, we are an economic engine for the economy. So if we're selling houses, all those people that are also providing services to the new homeowners are keeping their jobs. So it's really important. And I think Chris and Dale both have done a lot to make that information a lot more accessible to all of us, for sure. So we're coming on 20 after. How many people have gone for the second round of PPP? Are people doing that? No. So Lee Brown, Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, I know, and they also did a thing. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet, but Chris and Dale did a thing last week.
On second round.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, if you really did suffer, it's one quarter to one quarter, so it has to be quarter one of 19 to quarter one of 20 to like that. And if there was a 25% reduction in your gross receipts, then you'd qualify for the second round. Obviously check with your tax professionals, and it's black and white, you know, what the, and they're just looking at bank statements at this point. So it's not when you earn the commission, it's when you receive the commission, because there's some things about the January, December thing. So definitely check that out. I've heard a bunch of talks about it in Clubhouse, the new phenomenon that I'm talking about PPP and IEDL. Are we getting any closer, Nora?
Have anyone gotten their forgiven from the first round yet?
No, I haven't. Has anyone else gotten the forgiveness from the first round?
We haven't. On my bank, I use TD Bank, and they're locked out right now because of the change that happened in December with Congress. They're saying they don't even know what the official rules or format's going to look like yet. So they're locked down through March, at least at TD Bank.
Okay, because I did it through Bluebind, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But I keep asking my accountants. They just sent me the rundown from the last 2 years, and I did not qualify for the second round of PPP. So I tried, though. Yeah, that'll be good to keep an eye on, Bonnie. Have you heard anything?
I applied for it and I have not heard back yet. That's why I was kind of curious. But I don't think a lot of people can qualify for the second round unless the business really got hit hard. But a lot of the realtors we know have actually done better this last year.
Yeah, for sure. But even going through, I mean, some, you know, I heard some did, and then, you know, maybe in each quarter. So I think it's worth definitely looking at the full 2 years to see, you know, what the breakdown is for you. I'm wondering if we should try to bring Chris on through his cell phone, through Nora, so that we don't lose the entire hour. Hey, Nora, do we have Chris on voicemail? I mean, on your cell phone?
He is trying dial-up right now, and I'm on hold. And if he can't get in through the dial-up, then he'll just be right here on my phone for
Perfect.
10 minutes.
That's
He's
what we'll
trying
do.
his best. There's something, a snafu with a Zoom, either on his end, or I know other people are having some difficulty logging in, because I've gotten some other texts coming through. But
You know, I'm wondering if he's available next Monday as well. We could move something that I had scheduled perhaps for next Monday, and we could bring Chris back next Monday.
That may be
Okay.
worthwhile because I
Is-
know I have to leave at 12:30. So
Yeah.
I'd
I'm
like
just
to hear him
right
next
now
week.
holding on him for him to hopefully come in. And I just got disconnected from him. We tried.
Yeah, so let's try to reschedule him either for, I mean, he's coming here on the 25th, so we'll, even if we don't get him till afterwards, maybe we can get him before and
This is him calling. So hold on.
hold on.
Chris, you're on
Next
speaker.
Monday.
How you doing?
But this is so frustrating. What is the meeting passcode?
The
I mean, I guess
passcode. Are you in? Like 838083.
838.
08. He's gonna try one more time to get in on his phone. So this is called being flexible and just having
Absolutely.
a happy Monday and a snow day.
It's nice to see everyone. It's lovely. Hi, Corrine.
And everybody knows what the title of the class is for its tax strategies for realtors. So that is a full day class that I mentioned.
25th.
Did everybody get their 1099s out this weekend? So that's
Unfortunately,
Receive them.
unfortunately, I got it. Unfortunately.
it's all about having good, high quality problems, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are
Like
the
about.
first world problems for sure.
Yeah. So I'm hoping if Christine or Lisa, if you can kind of be on the lookout for maybe letting him in. There was
Oh,
something with
absolutely.
meeting
Hey,
registration.
Nora, do you want to speak a little bit? Oh, there's a phone number coming. Oh, we have.
Yes, this is him. He's in.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Chris Bird here. Well, we're on my phone. I have no idea why we couldn't get on the computer. Okay, none. Hello?
Well, thank you, Chris, for
We're
joining.
here.
You're on. So we have a lot of people
Very good.
here, and we just would love to hear about maybe the class or anything you want to talk about. We're all ears today.
Well, we're going to be doing the tax strategies course, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what we've got is we've got a lot of moving parts, and I'm going to be adding a lot to the materials in the course to bring it totally up to date. But we have a 5,593 page tax or a bill, a congressional bill that came out on December 27th of last year, which includes about 625 pages of tax related material. We've got the changes to the PPP program. We've got to talk about that in detail. And that's not in the material itself of the course from CRS. We've got to talk about the new tax credits for self-employed people and employers because of them getting sick or having to take off with COVID-related issues, and those things are brand spanking new. We're going to talk about the new specific tax law changes as well in the bill, and some of those changes are the 100% deduction for business meal expenses. However, don't get excited about that, everybody, because that is effective for 2021 and 2022, not 2020. So those are some of the big things in that huge bill that came out at the end of the year. Now, in the course that that's still so darn relevant, we're going to talk about common deductions for realtors, the ones that they often overlook. We're going to be talking about the issue of S corporation, which is something that I believed in for a long, long time. We're going to be talking about the tax write-offs, the fairly new tax write-offs for owners of investment property, both commercial and a residential rental. We're going to be talking about, of course, the heavy SUV write-off, the pickup truck deduction, which are better than they've ever been before. We're going to talk about the tax issues of home ownership, what's deductible, what's not. And what I'm really going to throw into this as well is, and you're going to be all ears on this, is the Biden plans, what he wants to do. And if you haven't read about this yet, he wants to eliminate the $10,000 limit on state, local, and real estate taxes, nicknamed the SALT limitation. And he also wants to bring in, and I kid you not, a $15,000 first-time home buyer credit, which, you know, the only problem with that is the lack of inventory in this country. But I sat two of my grandchildren down this weekend to tell them I want them to wait to get interested in buying their first home, because they're both very interested and they would probably pull the plug this year. But if there's $15,000 in dollar for dollar tax reduction, I'm going to encourage them to wait until this bill passes. So that's kind of just trying to light you up. It's going to be the latest and greatest material that I've got to offer, both in terms of what's happened since the book was written, and Dale Carlton and I wrote that book, to bring you into the new tax bill that got passed on December 27th, and then bring it into what Biden's trying to do. So what would you like to talk about here? I mean, that's just kind of a introduction. It's going to be a real fast moving day, and it'll be well worth the money you're going to spend on it. I guarantee it. So what questions can I address right now with the 20 of you on this call? So I'm all ears.
So I would, let me just open up. Hi, Chris, it's Lisa Parento. So nice to hear you.
Lisa, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. And I cannot wait until the course. So excited. You just cannot get me more excited about taxes. One thing I would love to know, can you give us one or two little nuggets today that we can start thinking about as we're getting ready to prepare our taxes? I mean, I'm hoping everyone plus a million more will be coming on the 25th, and they will 10x their investment for sure. But what are some of the things that we should be really thinking about that might be different, that we're going to need to get together to bring all of our stuff to our accountants?
Well, okay, one thing right off the bat is if you got any of the stimulus payments, okay, so they're nicknamed EIP1 and EIP2. That stands for Economic Impact Payment. And I would almost guarantee you that many listeners on this call, as well as those who are going to take the course, will have earned too much money to qualify for EIP1 or EIP2. But regardless of that comment, some on the call and some in the course will not have income over those amounts and will have gotten the economic stimulus payments. So your accountant must know what you received in April, May, or June of the first economic impact payment. And then they're going to need to know what you got in the last 4 weeks. Basically, they started December 29th through about January 20th of the second economic impact payment. So if you don't know what you got, you need to go back into your bank statements and look up in those dates, you know, again, April, May, or June of 2020 for stimulus payment notations, because it would have come direct deposit for the most part. And the same with the last 30 days from December 29th through about January 20th. Now, the second thing all of you need to do is you need to basically note in your records whether you got any PPP loans, because not that they're taxable. In fact, I'll be talking about the new law on those, that they're not taxable and you can deduct all the expenses you paid with your PPP money. But your accountant may want to know how much you got anyway, especially if you're an S corporation or a C corporation. There's certain entries in the books on your tax return that have to be made for that. So right off the bat, if you got any government money, whether it be state or federal last year, I would sure be looking at that hard to note, for your accountant what they're going to need. Another question they have to address very specifically this year on the front page of your return is whether you were involved with any virtual currency transactions. And I mean, that's Bitcoin, Ethereum, things like that. And I would lay you money that probably maybe 10 or 15% of you were involved with that. And the accountant must answer a question when he does your return about that. And then they have to drill down with you as to whether you had any sales of virtual currency, things like that. And let me tell you what, I mean, today is the first day of February. And my schedule lightens up quite a bit. I mean, I've got webinars, maybe 4 or 5 this month, 2 of them this week. And after this week, I'm going to be starting to work real hard on getting my stuff together for last year. You know, my travel records, not that they were that much last year, my business expenses from American Express, and my debit card. So what I would recommend all of you do, if you have not already received it from your accountant, is get an organizer from your accountant to help you put everything together. And a good organizer compares last year to this year, so it triggers you to look for numbers on a specific account. Okay, what else, everybody? So Lisa, very good question. What else? Anybody? You've got me at your mercy.
Yeah,
So
and
ask away.
everybody, if you can stay a few extra minutes, if people have the time, maybe we can go till 12:45 instead of just the normal 12:30, because we've got Chris here now, and we can field some questions either about the class that's going to happen on the 25th, or if you've got some direct questions in terms of getting your stuff together, you know, for 2020 tax season. Someone had a question mark about the EIDL loan. Corinne, did you want to speak specifically about what your question was to Chris?
Yes, just because you mentioned the PPP loan, which I
Yes, ma'am.
applied for, but I didn't get, but I did get an EIDL loan for my corporation.
Okay, so here's my question. Okay, so EIDL comes in two forms, and really about what I want you to know too is when we do this on the 25th, you come armed with your questions. Okay, so I mean, one thing I pride myself on is trying to get every question of every participant answered. So don't hold back. But to the questioner on this point, there were two things coming from EIDL, and EIDL stands for Economic Impact or Economic Injury Disaster Loan. There was a grant of anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, and then on top of that, there was a loan of anywhere from $15,000 to $250,000. So here's the deal, just so I don't put anybody on the spot. So if you got the grant of anywhere from $1,000 to $10,000, that is not taxable, and everything of a business nature that you spent the money on is deductible. And secondly, on the grant, the tax law of December 27th changed the law that said if you got the grant, that reduced your amount of PPP loan that could be forgiven. They retroactively reversed that, so the EIDL grant will not reduce full forgiveness of your PPP loan. Now, the next thing is if you got the EIDL loan of anywhere between $15,000 and $250,000, that is a real loan from the U.S. government, the SBA. That loan is amortized over 3.75% at 30-year amortization period, and fixed rate 3.75. You can prepay at any time, and none of that is forgivable. In fact, if you got the EIDL loan, you are currently getting monthly statements from SBA offering you the opportunity to start prepaying that anytime you want to, but the normal amortization does not start until 12 months after the amount was deposited into your account. So that is the skinny on that. And again, I'm going to hit that again in our 225 class. Again, next.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Christine Silva has her hand raised. Christine, want to unmute yourself and jump in?
I have a question. How is unemployment benefits, if they were received, treated?
That's very easily answered, and this is kind of unfair. You're not going to like my answer, but unemployment benefits were paid first by the state, and then second, in came the federal government with a $600 a week, what was called PUA, or Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. So the total of those two amounts, okay, are deemed to be unemployment compensation and are 100% taxable at this point in time. And the unfair part about that is all the PPP loans and the EIDL grants, all right, are not taxable. And the people that got EIDL grants and PPP loans were people in business, but the people that got unemployment were primarily, not always, primarily, they were employees of companies, although all of you know that they opened up both state unemployment and federal unemployment under pandemic to self-employed people like realtors as well. But in short, the unemployment from the state and the federal pandemic match of $600 is 100% taxable, as I explained this to you today. Unfortunately.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you, Chris.
you're welcome. Not, I know you didn't like to hear that, but
That's
that's
okay.
Hi,
Who
Chris.
else?
Can I ask a question?
Hi. Yes.
So we were discussing how like the PPP loan might not have been forgiven by the time that we file taxes this year. Would that matter?
It doesn't matter any longer, because the fact that that you can deduct the expenses you paid with your PPP, that was the holdup on the forgiveness issue. Okay, so once the law changed that says we get full deductibility of the expenses we paid with our PPP, that really eliminates the concern about when the forgiveness is given. And just so you all know, about 83% of all PPP loans were not yet forgiven as of 12/31 of 2020, and that forgiveness will obviously take place this year. Next. Hello?
What do you think the possibility is going to be that they will do something with the unemployment? That is just so
well,
insane.
I personally think that's going to be the next scream in Washington, is all the people that have to pay tax on the unemployment, while all the people who got PPP and EIDL grants don't have to pay tax on that. That's going to be the next equality scream in Washington. And it's just a matter of when we hear that. So I expect it anytime. But, whether they're going to do anything about it, I have no idea.
Right. Okay. Just let everybody know also, we will have this registration up within the next couple of days. So you'll be able to register right on CRS.com, or you'll also get an email, probably more than one email, about the class to be able to register. So reach out to any of the leadership team if you're interested in that class. Again, it will be posted all over our Facebook group, our Facebook page, as well as an email from National, from us. And we might even, do a couple of Facebook Lives about it as well, as Chris may.
It will be open to non-CRS members too. So if you know somebody, Chris, anything that we should come prepared with for the class?
Well, number one, come prepared with all your questions, just like today. And, any questions regarding taxes on your own tax returns, or how owners and of both principal residences and rental property are, any questions on that, if you own those properties yourselves. But, I would hope I literally hope we would have 300 people on this call, because this is going to be the latest up-to-date information. I mean, a good core book, okay, to start with. And then I'm going to be providing probably another 30, 40 pages as a handout that we're going to be referring to periodically of the newer stuff. So, it's just really, really up to date and a timely course. It really is.
Yeah, and even if you, Kurt wants to know about GameStop.
Hey, Kurt, I'm with you.
GameStonk or GameStop.
Yeah, well, number one, I'm very pleased with my Bitcoin. I will tell you that was 7,100 this time last year. That was about 44,000 a couple of weeks ago, and it's around 35,000 now, something like that. But I totally missed the GameStop issue, and that's a little bit more risky than I want to take on. But if you can't help me read the news about that, and we haven't heard the end of that story, as the little guy's been shut out to protect the hedge funds. So it's going to be interesting what happens. But it's just kind of a tongue-in-cheek, what the little guy can do with the internet to basically get millions of little buyers to buy that stock that drove up the price. And the hedge funds that were sitting on a short position had to buy that stock back. And as they bought it back, it just kept spiraling up and up and up and up. And I was reading an article over the weekend that one hedge fund lost 53% of its value all right, because of this GameStop. And I kind of think that's deja vu with a smile on my face, all right?
Well,
Anyway.
I think that it's important to, one thing, it's certainly, a lot of us have gotten a lot smarter on what a short squeeze is. So if nothing else, we can sort of throw around those terms that are, if we ever have cocktail, when we have our cocktail parties in the near future, we can throw that around. Well, I have one question I have to ask before we,
Yep.
let me just check in the chat if anyone else has another question, stock suggestions, anything else. I got to ask that question that, I'm going to ask you every year, Chris. What about the status of my deductibility of the boat?
Yeah. Okay. So the trouble with that is entertainment is dead. Okay. So when they gave us 100% for business meals provided by a restaurant, all right, they still left entertainment at zero. Now, that was the Tax Cut and Jobs Act of 2017. And I will tell you, and I won't get political once on you, but I will tell you what I read. Joe Biden's administration doesn't like a lot about the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. It would like to reverse a lot of those provisions. Well, the issue is, Lisa, maybe they will, and if they do, it still comes down to a deduction of a boat has always been a red flag with the IRS. So you got to be an excellent record keeper if they do ever come back and let you write off entertainment. And then I would, Lisa, simple as that, but just I would have records out the wazoo to prove who you took, how much you spent, things like that.
All right. Well, I'm going to keep trying, Chris.
Now, Lisa, one thing you might want to think about is, meals provided by a restaurant. Think about that, 100%. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if this works on a boat, but could you have a catered lunch or catered dinner furnished to you by a restaurant that you consume while you're out there on the water? I mean, seriously, I don't see anything wrong with that, but we're still not taking anything off of the boat. We're taking a catered meal that you're serving on the boat. I mean, you could somewhat have your cake and eat it too.
I love it. Especially if you'll come and come for a visit on the boat and enjoy that meal with us.
Yeah, I don't like white sharks. Okay, so you all, those things are taking over your beaches, aren't they, up there?
That's the least of our problems right now.
I've seen a few of those in the wild. All right. Hey, how is the market on Cape Cod right now? Is it good? I would think.
It is absolutely on fire. It's unbelievable. Our good friend Jack Cotton will always remind me that people will pay a premium in any market to live in a rare and beautiful place. And that is really the case now. And people, so many of our buyers have been educated by the Boston market. So when they see things go over asking, they're okay with it now. They're not complaining. They understand the impact of an appraisal and needing to waive that appraisal clause. So they're sort of been already beaten up over the past couple of years coming from other markets. And now they just want to work from Cape Cod. So it's really been.
Oh, I understand. We own property around the country, and there's not a week goes by that my wife and I don't get a email or a text from somebody looking at one of our properties. It's not even for sale. And in Tucson right now, the average day on market is 12 days. Figure that one out. Okay, there's multiple offers, 12 days.
Wow, unbelievable. Bonnie, did you have your hand raised?
Yes, I do. I try to be polite.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, please.
So now that everyone is working from home a lot more, I've heard this. I'm not sure if it's a rumor back in the days. If you try to claim that you have a home office back in the day, it might trigger audit a lot easier. But nowadays, everyone is working from home. Are you seeing any rules being, adjusted?
Well, number one, I'm gonna hit this hard in our, on the 25th, but the IRS literally in the last 5 or 6 years has eased up on the home office as a red flag. I mean, I honestly think accountants had a more negative view of that than they needed to have. But yeah, I have been pushing home office all year, and especially as people are working out of their homes. Now I'm talking about self-employed people like ourselves, okay? Realtors, whether they own their own corporation or they're Schedule C or whatever. I'm not talking about people with jobs, people, working with AT&T from home. There's no change or there's no move to help them on this point. But yes, I think a lot of realtors are getting very much accustomed to working from home, and I'm advising them to, make it even work more so by dedicating a room in the house exclusively for the business of real estate, get the private furniture out of there, things like that. But yeah, we're going to hit this hard, and I believe in this deduction. And it's really not a red flag. It really is not with the IRS. There is no IRS now anyway. I mean, if there was a red flag, there's nobody to wave it. How's that for an acronym, huh?
Okay, can Lisa work on her boat and use that as a home office?
Well,
take us on
let me just tell you this, in all defense, I know you're doing this in fun, but in all defense, I'm gonna take you to a person you all know, Sandy Kaplan in Santa Cruz. You all know Sandy, right? CRS, Sandy Kaplan, all right? She used to live on a boat. And literally, if you live on a boat and you're officing out of that boat, you got an office in the home. No ifs, ands, or buts. All right. And I know you're joking when you say that, but if you did, you could. And by the way, Lisa, you ought to get a kick out of this. I was reading an article this morning, thinking about you also, of a couple with their 2 kids from Croatia. And you might want to look this up on the internet. An article hit this morning that they have escaped the pandemic worldwide by cruising the open ocean for the last year and a half on their boat. Okay. So it's an interesting story reading about, when they go in to stock up on food, the cities would accept them because they've been quarantined in the middle of nowhere for 14 days. And I know that ain't you, Lisa, but I'm simply respecting the question about officing off your boat. Next.
We had a question from Cheryl, and it is about, will you be covering the self-directed IRA to purchase property?
Yeah, it's in our material, and yes, I will. Yes, I will. It's a favorite topic of mine. I've taught that every time I came to New England. Hey, speaking of which, what are you all thinking about losing Brady to the Buccaneers? How's Belichick stay with you guys now?
Okay, time to wrap up the call.
Oh, look at look, cut off the instructor, why don't you? All right, I got that.
I grew up in St. Petersburg.
Too soon. We'll tell you on Monday morning.
I still got Brady's shirt you all gave me. Remember that? All right.
Well,
And he's still a favorite of mine. I'm telling you right now. Okay. But yeah, I'll bet there are some sore wounds up there.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right. Anybody else?
I think we're good. We're really looking forward to.
We can't wait. This is
well, hey,
so great.
let's make sure we don't have this problem, because I want to be on the big screen with you guys, okay? And looking at you all too. So let's make sure we get that worked out between now and the 25th, okay?
Yeah, that's a new link that we have here. So thanks a lot for your patience, Chris, and hanging in there.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. All right, guys, have a good week.
Yeah, you too. So
Bye-bye.
good to hear from you. Look forward to seeing you on the 25th. All right, everybody, thank you so much again for tuning in today. This was great. Thanks for sticking through. I think you got a sense that it will definitely be worth you carving out some time on the 25th of February to get a whole lot smarter and have a bunch of laughs with one of the very best instructors I know. I'm definitely in the top 3 for sure. So thanks again for everybody. We will talk to you soon. Stands right now, we'll be having Robin Gunderson on talking about styling to sell. So doing some real in the trenches tips and tricks for how to really help get that property on that first showing, the photography session, and really help work with whatever you've got to work with. So I'd love to see you again next week, and thanks for tuning in.